welcome. Thank you for being here. Today, we are proposing an emergency board measure demanding immediate federal action to get food assistance to tens of thousands of San Diegans. This crisis is not an accident. It was manufactured. The Trump administration could have used billions in emergency SNAP reserves to keep food flowing to families and to make sure no one went hungry because of Washington's dysfunction. But unfortunately, President Trump chose not to. And now, after 2 federal courts ordered them to act, families still do not have their benefits, and the hunger crisis that Trump created is getting worse by the day. 1 in 4 CalFresh households in San Diego has zero balance left on their EBT cards. Another 45% has less than $50. That's $50, less than how much it takes to get through half a week. So this means nearly 70% of families who rely on CalFresh are already running out of food, and the fallout is everywhere. At Feeding San Diego, food box requests from furloughed TSA employees have doubled. The food bank has given away 150,000 additional pounds of food since the shutdown began, and many of these are first-time recipients who've never needed help before. Families are panicking, food banks are stretched to the limit, and Washington is still playing politics with hunger. So I want to be clear about what we're demanding. We need the Trump administration to release the full funding for SNAP immediately. Not half of it, not later, all of it immediately. We're not asking for favors. We're asking that the federal government follow the law, do its job, and feed the people it serves. This is its legal duty, its ethical and moral duty. And so Supervisor Aguirre and I are bringing this emergency measure forward so every level of government hears the same message from San Diego. Stop playing politics with hunger and do your job. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chair Pro Tem Supervisor Paloma Aguirre.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Paloma Aguirre, proudly representing District 1. I want to thank my colleague, Chair Lawson-Remer, for her partnership as we work together to protect San Diego's most vulnerable families. Food is a basic human right. No family in San Diego County or anywhere in the country should ever have to wonder where they're going to get their next meal. Yet today, that is the reality for more than 42 million Americans across the nation. On November 1st, federal funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as CalFresh, lapsed due to the ongoing federal government shutdown. For the first time in history during a shutdown, millions of families across the county did not receive their November SNAP benefits to buy groceries. It took 2 federal judges to rule that the suspension of benefits was unlawful to force the Trump administration to acknowledge this crisis. And let me be crystal clear. This mandate is not a full restoration of benefits. SNAP benefits may eventually be restarted, but with only half the usual funding, which means that right now families are staring at empty EBT cards and pantries, unsure when the next round of funds will arrive because the federal government refused to act with urgency. Just in San Diego County, nearly 4,000 residents rely on CalFresh, including 125,000 children, 100,000 seniors, and thousands of working families. This is a humanitarian crisis level of people who are left hungry and confused as they watch their government party like Gatsby and spend their tax dollars on lavish ballrooms, private jets, and foreign bailouts. The American people need urgency. Emergency funding must be fast-tracked and loaded onto their EBT cards immediately. That's what we're fighting for, and we won't let up until San Diegans have access to the support they need. Chair Lawson-Remer and I are bringing forward a proposal today directing our Chief Administrative Officer to demand that the USDA use every available tool to expedite the release of emergency CalFresh benefits to San Diegans. I also want to remind people that USDA's contingency reserves were created precisely for moments like this, to keep food on the table during federal budget disruptions. This manufactured crisis was completely avoidable. The lapse in benefits serves no purpose other than a political power play using one of the most effective anti-poverty programs in our nation's history as a bargaining chip tool for this shutdown. I have 113,084 residents in District 1 who will have no way to feed their families. This is disgraceful. Thank you again, Chair Lawson-Remer, for your partnership on this item, and I strongly urge my colleagues on the board to vote in support and stand up for San Diegans who are hurting at this time. Thank you.
With that, we're happy to take any questions.
One quick question about the figures you gave towards the beginning. You said, like you alluded to, right now we have so many people that are. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So, and these numbers are current as of about 48 hours ago. So the numbers I was given about 48 hours ago is that 1 in 4 CalFresh households in San Diego have no money left on their EBT card. So that's a quarter of the CalFresh recipients have no money left. And then about 45% have less than $50 left on their EBT cards. And that is, enough to get maybe half a week. So we're really talking about 70% of families have less than enough money to make it through a week here.
Talk a little bit to San Diego families who may be, hearing the news about the partial, release of funds, and now on top of being concerned, there's also a lot of confusion. What does this mean? Will I soon be able to get more put on my card? So a lot of different things I think that San Diego families are now feeling.
Yeah, I can say a couple things that are clear. One thing that's quite clear is that legally the Trump administration is required to release the funds and to release them as soon as possible. Now, 2 judges have ruled that the money that Congress set aside for emergencies must be used by the Trump administration to feed hungry people across the United States as was intended by Congress. That's clear. It's clear that the law requires these funds to be used. What is also clear, unfortunately, is that the Trump administration has indicated that they have no plans to follow the judge's orders in any kind of a rapid fashion whatsoever. What they've said is it could take weeks, it could take months, they don't know, they have to get the money on the cards, it's complicated. So we know that what the law says is clear, and I think it's quite clear that the Trump administration is not interested in following the law, is not going to follow the law in any kind of expedited fashion. So those are the things I think we can say with certainty. The third thing that I want to say to San Diego families is that, despite the chaos in Washington, your local government's here for you. We are stepping into the breach. We are here to help people make it through the next couple weeks, even in the face of Washington's dysfunction. We've partnered with our local food banks, along with the state of California. Our local food banks have received a huge influx of new funding from the state, as well as some partnership from us at the county. And we have some local foundations who've also stepped up in a big way to kind of fill the gap over the next couple weeks. So I think we have a good plan here locally in San Diego that even if your card can't get filled, you should look on 211. We've been working really hard with 211 so that if you go onto the 211 website, you can search by your location, your city, your zip code. It'll tell you where you can go to get food. And those food locations, those food distribution centers should be well stocked. And I just want to extend a huge amount of gratitude to our philanthropic partners, to our food bank partners, to 211, and to the governor for coming together so that here in San Diego, over the next couple weeks, while Trump continues to sow dysfunction, that there are resources here and there will be places to go, and you just need to go on 211 and look it up, and then go to the distribution center.
That was really good. Thank you. So in addition to having a legal responsibility, the administration has an ethical and moral responsibility as well. This is not a monarchy where a single person can make decisions arbitrarily that impact hundreds of thousands of families here in San Diego County. My district has the largest amount of families that depend on these services and on these programs. It is not charity. These are programs that they are entitled to as taxpayers. And the fact that the Trump administration is denying them these services, these basic need services, is immoral and it's unethical.
We also, speak to the fact that for a lot of these families, it might be their first time going to a food pantry or food bank because they usually can't make it off of their
Sure.
cards.
Yeah. And that's what's so unfortunate. The only other longest shutdown we had was during the first Trump administration, where families had to go to food pantries as well. So families deserve dignity, right? And we are living in a society and economy that people can't even afford while working to have the basic needs. People don't choose to be on EBT. They have to be on EBT because their wages, the cost of living, exceeds what they bring in on a daily basis. So it's a challenging situation. Like the chair said, there's a lot of efforts. There's a lot of philanthropic efforts. There's a lot of efforts from the board, from the county, from the local jurisdictions to make sure that people don't go hungry. But let's be very clear. This is a fabricated, artificial situation that should never have happened and could be resolved immediately and should be resolved legally immediately because of the two rulings that happened.
I wonder if you could paint a picture for us as far as what will happen if in the next couple of weeks people don't get these funds.
I mean, I think we've begun to paint that, right? I mean, we know that there are families who only get by because of their SNAP benefits, and we do. I think we are in a good situation in San Diego County that we've been able to come together and create a stopgap. But at some point, the federal government has to do its job. And we have to see either Trump stop playing politics with hunger, frankly, and like holding people hostage. Or we need to see some courage and leadership from congressional Republicans who so far are not fighting for their constituents, not fighting for their communities, and not fighting for the people who sent them to Washington. And we need to see them to bring a little bit of courage to the table so that the budget can move forward and the dysfunction in Washington can, be a slight bit resolved so that people can eat.
How frustrating is it to see Trump sending $20 billion to Argentina when they won't fully fund food insecurity here in America?
Well, I actually would rather draw, I think for me, the thing that's much more appalling are the tax cuts for billionaires who are buying, 100 and 200, 300 foot mega yachts with their tax breaks. And they're paying for these tax breaks on the back of hardworking Americans, people who, work really hard every single day just to make ends meet. And now they're literally taking the food out of the mouths of children to give tax breaks to people like Elon Musk.
I'll just add that just think about the ranchers and cattle owners that are suffering, that are having their businesses be destroyed because of that bailout that you mentioned. And in addition to that, think about the millions of dollars, even if it's from private funding, that are going to build a ballroom in the middle of a crisis, when that money could have gone to offset some of these cuts that are happening. We're having billions of dollars redistributed to an agency that is pulling families apart in the middle of the night under the guise of immigration laws that, by the way, are not observing legal due process. So do you have children? Imagine not being able to put food on on the table for your kids. Like, there's nothing more heartbreaking than that. And my district has the largest number of families that are facing that reality on a daily basis, that are trying to stretch their dollars by going to Dollar Tree or to 99-cent and buy whatever they can to eat. And that's the reality that they're living right now because of the selfish and illegal actions of this administration.
Other questions? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.